the assassination, sorry, of Jesse James by the coward Robert Ford came out in 2007. So the Western genre was kind of on the down low. It was just starting to die out. But the good thing is that in 2007 we had three good westerns that year. We had the assassination of Jesse James by the coward Robert Ford, and the remake of 310 to Yuma with Russell Crowe and Christian Bale. And we also had the gothic western There Will Be Blood. And if you want to throw in No Country for Old Men, which is a modern day western, then that would be four. It's kind of surprising because the western genre, it's dead right now, I guess you could say. But in 2007, we had four really good westerns, and I will have to call this one right here, "The Assassination of Jesse James by coward Robert Ford," the worst of the four. But that's just because the other ones that I mentioned were just simply better. I mean, people often tout the There Will Be Blood as being the best film of the 2000s. I wouldn't call it the best. I'd call it pretty high up there. And 310 to Yuma, the remake, was amazing. And No Country for Old Men deservedly won the Oscars in its respective year. So yeah, that just leaves this one right here, kind of a little bit below them. But I don't want to sell it short. This is a really fine movie. Now the thing is, the reason this doesn't reach the highest heights or reach the level of the ones that I mentioned is because, okay, the only reason it doesn't is because this movie it's really long. It's like 2 hours and 40 minutes, and it really didn't need to be that long. Now, I don't mind slow burners as long as they're done right. And if they don't have me say, okay, can we speed this up? Can we get to the point here? In this one, yeah, it is slow, and there's just a few sectors where I thought to myself, okay, I mean, like I didn't get mad with this as I have with some recent burners like Hereditary and Portrait of Lady on Fire. Those ones were agonizing. But the assassination of Jesse James by coward Robert Ford, the the slowness really it showed. People always say, well, I've heard people say, a good movie is never too long and a bad movie is never too short. Well, that just goes to show that this one right here, Assassination of Jesse James by coward Robert Ford, um, yeah, that just goes to show that it wasn't destined to be like top of the line. I would say that if about 40 minutes of it were cut, making it an even 2 hours, it'd be okay. I mean, it'd be better that way. But too late, too late. Now, Jesse James is probably the best known outlaw ever back in the cowboy days. Well, maybe Billy the Kid, but yeah, Jesse James is probably even more notorious. But we never got anything about the guy that killed him, whose name was Robert Ford. But now we get a chance to see more things from his points of view, like Robert Ford's. And Casey Affleck, who is a better actor than his older brother Ben Affleck, not as well known as Ben Affleck. This was almost a full decade before Affleck did Manchester by the Sea, which he gives one of the best performances I've ever seen in. But this was probably his first. Okay, in 2007, Casey Affleck did this and Gone Baby Gone, another fantastic film. I don't know which one came out first. I mean, they're both in 2007, but which one was released first? I'm not sure, but I do think that Affleck gives a better performance as Robert Ford. He totally nails it in this. I mean, no, he's not as great as when he was in Manchester by the Sea, but how can he be? That's just insane. And that's totally fine. Like whatever. So Robert Ford, he's this young man. He's like 19 or 20, and he grew up reading about Jesse James and the rest of the James family, and it kind of he kind of thinks that no, he doesn't kind of think he does think that Jesse and his gang are like cool people, like going on thrill rides and adventures, and yeah, he really idolizes Jesse because Jesse's the head guy. Even though Jesse isn't the oldest of the James family, he's still the craziest one and the one that leads them on to things. So yeah, Ford's able to talk his way into joining the James gang, and after spending some time with him, like both personally spending time with him and doing jobs, Ford's opinion on him begins to change. He realizes that, like, he becomes jealous and he sees that Jesse is a killer. He's a bad guy, and yeah, Ford even sells out. Now Brad Pitt, um, he's a really talented actor. He's not just a pretty boy. He does do a really good job as Jesse James, and yeah, he like the way that he plays Jesse James in this. It's like he makes him like he's able to make him the ruthless killer that he really is, while um, making him still somebody that's able to be sympathized with, which is really which is really hard to do. I really liked it, but the better actor of the two, like in the movie, is Casey Affleck. He's more nuanced and layered than Jesse James, and it felt like he had the harder job, and it really paid off more. And this was like okay because Ben Affleck is has been such a huge star in Hollywood for so long. He probably could have given his younger brother Casey a nudge into Manchester by the Sea. But I would say that it was ultimately this film right here that gave people the first chance to show that Casey Affleck is a really good actor. Yeah, even though Brad Pitt is the star of the film as the titular character, well, as Jesse James, it's Casey Affleck that owns all in this. Yeah, the filming and the music are both fantastic, and the characterizations are also really good. Um, but yeah, the only thing that I really didn't like about this film was its pacing. As I said, if 20 minutes were cut out, that'd be good. One one example of the bad pacing is after Jesse James gets assassinated. We still have about like maybe 15 or 20 minutes of things after that. Like, okay, we get to know a little bit more of Robert Ford's expeditions after he kills Jesse, but it just goes on for so long afterwards. I could see them showing more like after Jesse's death, but it just goes on for way too long in this. That's really I mean, like that's one example of why um, the movie's pacing really is thrown off. But I really don't want to say that that it really kills the movie. It just makes the movie not totally top notch. It doesn't that it prevents the movie from achieving the high standard of excellence. So because the movie doesn't achieve the high standard of excellence, I'm going to give the movie the second highest rating that I can, which is 3.5 stars out of 4.